I promise teach karate. That's my part. You promise learn. I say you do. No question.
One of them spent 7 years strapped into a body cast as a child, was told he would never walk, and went on to be Oscar nominated for the role of Mr. Miyagi. While another one was thrown out of a 2025 fan convention for biting his co-star hard enough that the police report said it nearly drew blood. Here's what really happened to the cast of The Karate Kid. Number 1. Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso. The believer, the one who refused to leave. In 1984, Ralph Macchio was 22 years old playing 17. He'd just come out of Coppola's The Outsiders, where he'd played Johnny Cage alongside Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, and Matt Dillon. He had real momentum. Then, Karate Kid hit. Made over $90 million on an $8 million budget and turned him into the bullied underdog of an entire generation. The face that wouldn't age became part of the joke. He played 17 again in Karate Kid Part 2 at 24 and again in Part 3 at 27, and somehow it still worked. The producers had originally imagined Daniel LaRusso as a teenage James Bond, with a different girl in every movie. Macchio fought to keep that from happening. He won most of the time. What's harder to explain is what happened off camera. While every other 80s teen idol burned out, divorced, got arrested, or vanished, Ralph Macchio just stayed. He married Phyllis Fierro in 1987, the same year Karate Kid Part 2 came out. He's still married to her in 202638 years and counting. He raised 2 children in suburban Long Island, kept his head down, and refused most of the press circuits that the rest of his cohort were chasing. He did My Cousin Vinny in 1992 with Joe Pesci and Marisa Tomei. He kept working, quietly, without scandal, for 30 years. In 2018, Cobra Kai changed everything again. Macchio executive produced 6 seasons of a show that became one of Netflix's biggest legacy hits, ending the 13th of February 2025. Then at 63, he stepped back into the gi for Karate Kid, Legends with Jackie Chan. The film grossed $117 million worldwide. He got his Hollywood Walk of Fame star in 2024.
We are now thrilled to announce our newest Walk of Famer, Ralph Macchio!
I was catapulted into what is now considered...
and received his honorary black belt from the World Karate Federation in May 2025. By the time he filmed Legends, Macchio was 12 years older than Pat Morita had been when Pat played Mr. Miyagi. Let that sit for a second. The kid is now older than the master. In 2026, Ralph Macchio is 64 years old. He has been Daniel LaRusso for 42 years across 6 movies and a Netflix series. He has outlasted almost every actor he started with. The believer never stopped believing, he just kept making the chores look like training. If you love these kinds of cast reveals, hit that subscribe button. There's a new one here every week, and the next 4 people in this cast each have stories that take a much darker turn. Number 2. William Zabka as Johnny Lawrence. The Bully, the Oscar nomination nobody saw coming. William Zabka was 18 when he walked into the audition for Johnny Lawrence. He was a competitive wrestler with no martial arts training. He'd been doing commercials, Pepsi, Kool-Aid, milk, and casting directors thought of him as the all-American clean-cut kid. He dropped out of Cal State Northridge halfway through his first semester to take the role. He learned crane kicks in 8 weeks. The performance was so convincing that for the next 25 years, strangers would yell "sweep the leg" at him in airports, and casting directors would only ever see him as the bully. He played essentially the same character in Just One of the Guys, in Back to School, and National Lampoon's European Vacation. By the early 1990s, the work had dried up. What he did during that quiet period is the part of his story almost nobody knows. While Hollywood was forgetting him, Zabka was studying filmmaking. In 2003, he co-wrote and produced a short film called Most Check for the Bridge, about a single father working as a railway bridge operator. He shot it in Prague and Poland, with a European cast deliberately far away from Hollywood. Most premiered at the 2003 Sundance Film Festival. It won Best of the Festival at the Palm Springs International Festival of Short Films. And in January 2004, William Zabka, the bully from Karate Kid, received an Academy Award nomination for Best Live-Action Short Film. He sat in the Kodak Theater that March in a tuxedo as a fellow nominee. The same year Mystic River swept the major Oscars. He didn't win. He said publicly afterwards that there was a kind of relief in not having to give the speech. He's also said he'd planned to end the speech by going into a slow crane kick and just holding it there. When the Cobra Kai creators came to him in 2017 with the idea of bringing Johnny Lawrence back, his first reaction was to say no. He's described being protective of the character, worried about damaging the legacy. They pitched him a redemption arc, what they called the Better Call Saul treatment, and he agreed. He wasn't just an actor on the show. He was a co-executive producer alongside Ralph Macchio across all 6 seasons. He directed Season 6, Episode 12 himself. He earned his first Emmy nomination as a producer in 2021. In 2025, he had a cameo in Karate Kid, Legends, confirming Johnny's story continues into a new generation of the franchise. In 2026, William Zabka is 60 years old. He has been married to Stacy Zabka since 2008, and they have 2 children he keeps almost entirely off the internet.
Being 43 years old, William tied the knot with Stacy Zabka in a wedding so private even stealthy ninjas weren't invited. Together, William and Stacy have 2 children.
From Sweep the Leg to Sundance to Sony's executive offices, he took the longest, quietest road of anyone in this cast. The bully became the boss. Number 3. Elisabeth Shue as Ali Mills. The cheerleader, the one who outclassed everyone. Elisabeth Shue was 20 years old when she filmed Karate Kid. She was a Wellesley student paying her tuition with commercials. Burger King, De Beers, Diamonds, Hellman's Mayonnaise, and Karate Kid was her first feature film. She played Ali Mills as the well-bred cheerleader who falls for the new kid. The dance, the country club snub, the after-party kiss. She got paid like a debut actress. The producers didn't want her back. They had imagined Daniel LaRusso as a teenage James Bond, with a different girl in every film. And Ali Mills was written out completely between Karate Kid and Karate Kid Part 2, given a single throwaway line of explanation. Shue didn't fight it. She walked away from the franchise, transferred to Harvard to study political science, and quietly built one of the most underrated careers of the entire 1980s. Adventures in Babysitting in 1987, Cocktail with Tom Cruise in 1988, Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3 in 1989 and 1990, where she replaced Claudia Wells and made the role her own. Around the same time, her older brother William died in a freak accident on a family vacation. She has said in interviews that her brother's death changed how she thought about her career, that she stopped being afraid of who she was. In 1995, on what should have been the slow back half of her career, she took the role her agents told her not to, leaving Las Vegas. She played Sarah, a sex worker who falls in love with the self-destructive alcoholic Nicolas Cage, who would go on to win the Best Actor Oscar for the role. Shue was nominated for Best Actress alongside him. She didn't win, but she walked out of that Oscar season with a Best Actress Academy Award nomination, plus the Independent Spirit Award, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award, and the National Society of Film Critics Award, 3 Best Actress wins in a single year. None of the men from this cast have ever come close to that. She returned to Cobra Kai as Ali Mills in Season 3 Inches 2020, her first reunion with Macchio in 36 years. She played Madeline Stillwell across the entire first season of The Boys in 2019, then reprised the role in The Boys Presents Diabolical and the spin-off series Gen V. She finished her Harvard degree in 2000, 12 years after she had left it for acting. In 2026, Elisabeth Shue is 62 years old. She has been married to Oscar-winning documentary director Davis Guggenheim since 19943 2 years. They have 3 children. The cheerleader who got written out of the franchise turned out to be the one who built the most decorated career of anyone in it. Number 4. Martin Kove as John Kreese. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, the one who bit his co-star. Martin Kove was 38 when he stepped into the role of John Kreese, the Vietnam veteran turned sociopathic karate sensei whose entire dojo philosophy was strike first, strike hard, no mercy. He played Kreese in The Karate Kid, in both 1980s sequels.
I'm not trained to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak. Here, on the street, in competition, a man confronts you, he's the enemy. An enemy deserves no mercy.
And 40 years later anchored the role across all 6 seasons of Cobra Kai until the series finale on Netflix on the 13th of February 2025. The man had survived the original Karate Kid era, survived the wilderness decades when he barely worked, and walked into a late career comeback that should have been the redemption arc he'd waited his whole life for. Then, on the 22nd of June 2025, barely 4 months after the Cobra Kai finale aired, Kove was at Washington State SummerCon in Puyallup, Washington. He was 78 years old. His Cobra Kai co-star Alicia Hannah Kim, 37, who plays Korean sensei Kim Da-eun, walked up behind him and tapped him on the shoulder to say hello. According to the police report later filed with the Puyallup Police Department, Kove turned around and bit her on the arm. He bit her hard enough that the report stated it nearly drew blood. He then let go and started kissing the spot where he had bitten her.
Between 2 Cobra Kai co-stars. Actor Martin Kove, seen here in the black jacket after he was escorted out of a fan event where he allegedly bit and then kissed his co-star's arm.
Hannah Kim went and found her husband. The two of them confronted Kove together. According to the report, he exploded, saying something to the effect of, "How dare they confront him?" Police were called. The body cam footage, released afterwards, became its own news cycle. Kove explained to the officers that he and Hannah Kim play all the time. The officer's response, captured on camera, was direct. "You cannot bite people. That is not okay." Hannah Kim told the officer it was assault. She declined to press charges, but she filed a report, quote, "in case this continues." Kove was ejected from the convention. The story made international news within 48 hours. He apologized publicly afterward. He said he took full responsibility. The damage to his reputation was already done.
Martin Kove is apologizing for biting his Cobra Kai co-star's arm during a fan convention over the weekend. "I deeply regret and apologize for my actions."
In 2026, Martin Kove is 79 years old. He has been a working actor for over 50 years. He survived everything Hollywood could throw at him, and then in 1 minute at a fan event, he gave most of it back. The man who taught his students no mercy found out, the hard way, what the word actually meant. Number 5, Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, the man who was never supposed to walk. This is the story that changes the way you watch The Karate Kid forever. Noriyuki Morita was born in Islington, California in 1932 to Japanese immigrant fruit pickers. At age 2, he developed spinal tuberculosis. For the next 9 years, he lived almost entirely in a full-body cast in hospitals, first the Weimar Sanitarium, then Shriners Hospital in San Francisco, repeatedly told by doctors that he would never walk. He learned how to be funny, entertaining nurses with sock puppets. A Catholic chaplain at one of the sanitariums gave him the Western name Patrick. After experimental spinal fusion surgery in 1943, he learned to walk for the first time at age 11. The very next day, an FBI agent walked into his hospital room and escorted him directly out to join his parents at the Gila River Japanese American internment camp in Arizona. His exact words years later, "One day I was an invalid. The next day, I was public enemy number 1. The Morita family was later transferred to the Tule Lake camp. He was 13 years old when World War II ended. He started doing stand-up at 30 years old. He billed himself, painfully and deliberately, as the Hip Nip. He became the first Asian American comedian to find sustained work on U.S. national television. He played Arnold the diner owner on Happy Days from 1975 to 1983. He starred in Mr. T and Tina in 1976, the first Asian American sitcom on U.S. network television, canceled after 5 episodes. Then the Karate Kid producers cast him as Mr. Miyagi only after testing him 5 times. The original choice had been Toshiro Mifune from Seven Samurai, but Mifune didn't speak English. Producer Jerry Weintraub didn't want Morita. He saw him as a comedy actor, not a dramatic one. Morita grew a beard, copied his uncle's accent, and won the role on the 5th audition. They billed him as Noriyuki Pat Morita to make him sound, in the producer's words, more ethnic. He was nominated for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar at the 57th Academy Awards. He lost to Hang S. in Gore for The Killing Fields. To this day, that ceremony is the only one in Oscar history where 2 Asian American men were nominated in the same supporting category. He kept working. The Karate Kid Part 2, Part 3, the underrated Next Karate Kid in 1994 with the young Hilary Swank, the Mr. Miyagi animated series, voiceover work, decades of cameos. What the public never saw was that Morita struggled with alcoholism for most of his career. The 2021 documentary More Than Miyagi: The Pat Morita Story, released 16 years after his death, finally told the full story. A man who had taught millions of children about balance and patience was never able to find his own. On the 24th of November 2005, Pat Morita died of kidney failure at his home in Las Vegas. He was 73 years old.
Former Hawaii resident Pat Morita, best known for his role in The Karate Kid, died at the age of 73. His wife says Morita died yesterday of natural causes at their home in Las Vegas.
In 2026, he has been gone for 20 years. His Hollywood Walk of Fame star sits on Hollywood Boulevard. His daughter Ali Morita has spoken publicly with extraordinary honesty about who her father really was. The Cobra Kai writers built the entire emotional foundation of their show around Mr. Miyagi being deceased every time Daniel LaRusso visits his master's grave, every time the headband appears, every time someone says wax on, wax off. They are talking about a man who spent the first 11 years of his life being told he would never walk. The boy who couldn't move grew up to teach the world how to balance. The Karate Kid was released on the 22nd of June, 1984. It cost $8 million and grossed over $90 million. It spawned 3 theatrical sequels, an animated series, a 2010 reboot with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith, 6 seasons of Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. Legends in 2025, which paired Macchio with Chan for the first time. 42 years on, the franchise is still expanding. The All-Valley Tournament set is still standing. The Crane Kick is still recognized worldwide. Pat Morita is gone. The others are still here, carrying what the film gave them and what it cost them in different ways. One of them got an Oscar nomination for a Czech-language short film. One of them got an Oscar nomination for playing a sex worker. One of them got thrown out of a fan convention for biting another human being. One of them spent the first 11 years of his life in a body cast and ended up teaching a generation what balance meant. And one of them, the one with the face that wouldn't age, just kept showing up decade after decade, refusing to leave the room. None of that was in the script. But then, the best things never are.